Welcome to Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, today's video, we're going to be making an access ladder. It's going to be about 18 foot tall, about 2 feet wide. The contractor needs this to gain access to a roof on a building. That'd be a great little project. Let's get started on today's video. All right, so here's a little diagram of what it is we're going to be making right here. You can see that, first of all, we're not using this. We're going to be using a 1.5 inch square tube 063, not aluminum, mild steel. So you can see that this has got a couple tabs on the bottom. They're going to anchor this to the ground, and then about 2/3 of the way up, they've got some mounting brackets that are going to come off the back. That's going to be mounted to the wall, and then up and over the top of the building, and then fasten it onto the surface of the roof. And that's what we're going to be doing. I've got a little bit of a cut list right here of the material and the stuff that we've got to be the pieces that we need. And so let's get this over to the saw and start cutting this up. All right, so for this, we're going to be using some 20-foot lengths, and here's a good example of the extension bar that I recently installed. These lengths are 20 feet long. I'm able to straddle them across my welding table and onto the area where the cutoff saw is. First thing I'm going to do is cut a 45 on either end of these long pieces. It's going to be about, like I say, 18 feet tall. So we're using pretty much of the 20-footer, and what's left we'll be able to use for the miscellaneous smaller pieces, the rung maybe. And you can see that I'm cutting up all the pieces here right now. I'm getting all those cuts from the cut list and trying to get everything all cut up. You know, I've had a lot of people ask me about the blade I use. This is a Champion, 14-inch Champion steel cutting blade. I have a lot of success with these blades. They're super sharp. I cut hundreds of cuts a week on this, and this blade here is a newer one that I had put on. I've had it on for about a month, and literally thousands of cuts through this, and it's still sharp, still working pretty good. You know, out of all the material I got and all the cuts I had, there wasn't a lot of waste left over. You can see, you just saw the couple little pieces there. I literally must have had a foot of pieces left over out of all the material I bought. You know, I can't say enough about, you know, thinking through your material. And if you, like I do, have the material yard cut them to certain lengths, for getting them on my truck. It's hard for me to get 20-footers on my truck, so I think it through and be sure I get the right amount. The right pieces cut at the right dimensions, so when you do all your cuts, you don't have a lot of waste. All right, I got all the rungs cut up right there. So here's all my pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is start assembling. Now you can see with these 18-foot, here's a good advantage of the welding tables. I've got everything set at the right elevation, or I should say the same elevation all the way across, for just in case I do long jobs like this right here. All right, I got everything fastened down on my welding table and clamped down with the armor clamps, and got squared up with the table dogs. And I'm just going to go ahead and weld as much as I can on this side right here for the first leg of the rack. And then I'm going to be stacking the next one, because we got to have two exactly the same right on the top. So I'm going to ground those welds down, and I'll be able to stack the next one right on top. You know, these clamps are really handy to have, the armor clamps, but I've got some longer ones and different style clamps for longer and taller material, and here's a good example there. They're screw clamps, but they work really well, and you can see they got longer legs on them, up to maybe 12 inches of adjustment there. You can see it worked out really good for this one. I just stacked them right on top of each other, and everything is square, and I'm able to clamp that down and get these welded out. All right, from there I'm just going to stand them up and get them in their position. Again, straddling across my welding tables all the way across, and everything is level, and so I'm going to clamp them down, get everything nice and square, and it's going to be time to start tacking in the rungs. These rungs are 12 inches apart from each other, And what I've done is I've pre-marked. I've got a little Sharpie there, you might see, and the tape measure. I've got a little mark right there. And once I've got them clamped in, all I'm doing at this point with everything is just tacking everything right now. I just want to be sure I get everything square and straight and everything where it needs to be before I completely weld everything out. You know what? Trying to do this on the ground or without a welding table, and these clamps would take so much more time and so much longer, and probably not be as accurate. You know, this is by having the ability to have a welding table and clamps like this. I know it's costly, but I'm telling you, if you do any kind of fabrication, I don't know how anybody can do it without a table and clamps like this. It just makes it so much faster, so much easier. Mine came from weldingtables.com. Been great people to work with up there, and they've got some really good products. All right, I'm going to slide this down a little bit, and I'm going to stick it off the back, and I'm going to finish this up right here. You can see the ladder starting to take shape at this point. Again, look at those clamps, how they're just lined up. Everything is in its position, and they're going to keep everything nice and square. It allows me to get everything tacked into place. All right, so with all that done, I've double checked everything, and now it's trying to get everything welded out as much as I can. I'm operating off the HTP ProPulse 220 MTS today. I get a lot of people ask me, what do I use for wire? What do I use the settings at? Again, I've mentioned it several times, but I will again. For this particular material, this is 063, and for the machine that I'm operating off of, I'm using 35 thousandths wire, and I'm about 275 inches a minute on this, and my gas is 90-10, 90% argon, 10% CO2, and that's what works best for me and the machine that I operate with. All right, so once I got it on one side done, I flipped it up on the side, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish welding everything out as much as I can. I'll flip it over and do the same on the other side as well. You know, and it's just good practice. You can see it's a lot of welding, and it is a good idea, at least I practice it, is to, if you're doing something like this, is to weld everything completely all the way around for a number of reasons. Strength for one, for another, you don't want any open areas where eventually rust pockets can form and leak out. You know, I see a lot of these panels you may get at the big box stores where they just weld them on one side, and or I should say just one weld on one side and one on the other. They don't weld them all the way around. This just makes for a good clean job, a good strong job. You know, it takes a little bit longer, but overall, the end product is just a better product. See that little stand I got at the very end right there? You know, I complain about that a lot, but you know, for situations like this right here where I've got things hanging off the, excuse me, hanging off the back of the table, it's just a good support, and it just holds everything up. Those things are adjustable. I got it at the Home Depot. I've got a couple of them. They work pretty good for certain applications. As you can see, I'm fully extended across the table. I couldn't really move it around too much. I just kept it kind of in the middle of the table. All right, so I got most of the welding done. In fact, I got all the welding done here that I need to get done. And before I start getting the flap disc and grinding some of these surface welds, both front and back of this ladder, I've got some mounting brackets that I need to get put on here. These ones right here are going to go right about this location. And they're going to require some tabs on the top right here for mounting, as the same as these two ends right here and two at the other end, a total of 6 tabs. Now, I'm going to make these, and I'll show you how to do it right over here. All right, so tabs come in all different sizes, shapes, and configurations. Yeah. Here's just some of the ones that I use that are different size, different shapes, for different applications. Sometimes I get tabs I need to weld onto the side right here. Different lengths, different shapes to match different things. Sometimes we need to get them on the very end, and that's the case that we're going to be doing here today. So none of these tabs right here are going to work for me in this situation, at least for all 6 that we're going to need on this project. They need to cover the whole end, and then I need a lot of room up on the top right here. So this one's 3.5 inches long, 1.5 inches wide, 1/8 of an inch thick, and it's got a 3/8 hole right centered up over here. And this one's gonna work just right. I'll be able to weld it flat on there. I've got plenty of distance here for anchoring on all 6 sides of what I'm doing right here. So this is the one we're gonna do. They're really simple to make. A lot of times I cut them out on the plasma cutter. That's what most of these are cut out on the plasma cutter. But on this one right here, pretty simple little deal. Let me show you how to do it. All right, so this is what we got right here. Now, I've already pre-cut the pieces here at 3.5 inches or 1.5 inches wide, 3.5 inches long. I've already done this one right here. But right now I'm gonna lay out a radius on here. Now you can see that some of these, all kinds of different radius. There's a full radius here. You've got little quarter round radiuses here. Some of them might get radius all the way around. So it's for me, it's just a personal preference for this application right here. I don't want a full radius. I want just something very subtle like this. So I just grabbed this washer right here, and this is there's no particular rhyme or reason for the size. It's just a personal preference. I just happen to think that this washer right here would give me just the perfect little radius, not too much, but just a little on there. Something like that. That's gonna look nice for this particular situation. Let's get over here to the grinder. We'll grind this thing down. All right, now for the hole. Now, typically what I found works the best, well, in these type of things right here, is about 5/8 of an inch down from the peak of the radius right here. So I just got my little scale right here. I want to mark 5/8. It's going to be right at about there. And then this is 1.5 inches, so we're going to go 3/4. 3/4 right here. And that's a good spot, a good place for the hole right there. Let's get this drilled out. All right, so you can take a center punch and punch it. For most drills, that's pretty good. Or you could just freehand it. The Champion cutting tool, these bits right here are amazing. It's got a 135-degree bevel on it. And you can basically just set this thing right on there and it'll drill right through there, not necessary for a center punch or anything like that. All right, with the rest of them all marked up, I'm over at the Burr King, and it takes no time at all to round off these edges. I'm using some 80 grit paper with this, and it's pretty aggressive, and I use that for mostly everything. It just grinds things off real easy. And then over with the drill and just pop holes in them. Now there's all kinds of, you can set it up in a drill press, you can do all kinds of things, but this is fast, quick, and easy, and it didn't take any time at all to get these things made and drilled out. All right, and then just welding them up here on the ends of the brackets and the legs. Pretty quick, you just hold them in place and weld them all the way around. Now it serves a couple purposes. This actually covers the end of the hole, and then actually works as the bracket itself. So I like doing it like this. It's just clean. It's just a clean application. All right, once you get everything installed, I always like to grind my welds down. It's a clean finish. It makes it look nice and clean rather than having welds built up on the ends there. I've never had any problems with any of them failing. They're plenty strong this way. And it's going to go on this area right here. So before I go ahead and get it mounted and welded up, I'm just going to take the flap disc and grind those welds down right there in this place before. So everything is going to be a nice flat finish. I got my 18-inch block clamps right there, and I had a little bit of trouble right here getting everything perfectly where I wanted it, which was square, plumb, in both directions. It took a little bit, but once I got there, everything was held into place nicely. Just a couple tacks, double checked. You know, when a lot of times when you tack this, they draw to one side or the other. So you just want to be sure that after you tack them, they stay nice and square. You know, these fab block squares are really nice. I've got a couple of different sizes. These are, like I said, these are 18 inches for taller pieces or longer pieces, and they work pretty good, holding everything right where they need to be. All right, here's another little pro tip too. These are strong hand corner squares, magnetic corner squares. Now, I'm not affiliated with strong hand in any way. I got these off of Amazon. They're just a good little added addition to the shop. They work well for situations just like this, just holding things in place while you just get them welded on. All right, those two are done. So I've got 4 of the tabs welded on. While I'm at it, I guess I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of grinding with the welds on the rungs right there. I'm using a ceramic trimmable flap disc from Mercer right here. This is a 60 grit. I get a lot of people ask me, trimmable, when you say trimmable, what is it? And I'm going to do a video and I'm going to explain and I'm going to show how that trimmable flap disc works. They're actually pretty cool. You get sometimes, you know, twice or more than twice the life out of the flap disc, and I'll have to demonstrate how I use those. They work pretty good. I use 60 grit for mostly everything. They have all different kinds of grits, but that's the most common for me. They also have zirconian. This is ceramic. I use them both, but they work well. And I go through a lot of flap discs. I do a lot of grinding, and they hold up pretty well. All right, these are the last 2 tabs right here, right on the very bottom. Now you're probably going to ask, why are you putting them there? Why are they not going up and down? This just happens to be the way they had it on the drawing. They wanted them going out on the side on all of them. I guess it's the way that they're going to be installing them. That was the best application for them. All right, there it is, complete. It was a fun little project. You know, I like doing stuff like this. It's something different all the time, and I really enjoyed making it. All right, got it all mounted up on the truck, and it's on its way over to the powder coaters. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to check out my website at jimbosgarage.com. Follow us on Instagram and check us out on Facebook. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.